My job, my primary job for the company is to be 3 years in front of it.
Visionary.
Yeah. And I have to decide where this ship needs to be in 3 years. And a company like ours turns like a big freighter. It takes years to get it to get realigned, right? And so, and that's what I do, and I'm good at, so, and that's allowed us to stay ahead, be ahead of 90% of the MSPs out there.
To me, the next 3 years with AI, it's going to change a lot. So what makes you authentic? What's going to set you apart? The things that I can say today for sure are going to create relationships, values, core principles. Those three. You cannot teach and train those emotional feelings to AI. But you can scratch all that at the same time. Because do we have people involved, right? We want to have people.
Right.
But if your industry is going to deal with any end customer, right? You're going to have to create that somehow.
Welcome back to One Step Beyond Cyber, and welcome to Season 4. I'm Scott Kreisberg, CEO and founder of One Step. So, this season, we're expanding our conversation beyond cybersecurity and into what really drives businesses: leadership, operations, and the smart use of technology. Now, today's guest is the founder and CEO of Techbros Electronic Recycle and ITAD. Now, they operate in a space that sits right at the intersection of sustainability, compliance, and data responsibility. Now, he's built 2 IT asset disposition and electronic recycling businesses, working with corporate and government clients while turning e-waste into opportunity. Now, we're going to talk about what it takes to build and scale a business in a regulated industry, how supporting technology growth, and how cybersecurity fits into the bigger picture. So let's jump in. Welcome, Sarkes. All right, well, let's get started. Welcome, Sarkes.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for taking your time. For anyone who doesn't know you, who's meeting you for the first time, could you describe what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you got into this business? I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah, so a lot of people construe e-waste as just, hey, we just pick up our electronics, just throw it away. Idea is creating a full system where you kind of keep everything out of a landfill with traceability at the end of the day. I got into this business not knowing I wanted to be in this business.
Yeah, no background in it?
No background in it, right? The background I had was my dad, I'll never forget, when I was a young kid, taught me never to judge anyone, right? Never even judge the garbage man, because you don't know who he really is. And today, here I am. I pretty much own a glorified recycling business, right?
Right.
People ask me, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm a garbage man. Jokingly, guy that's my dad. So we had the break fix shops, right? Which you guys would be familiar with. And we were buying computers from a middleman. And we were kind of like, hey, we want to cut out the middleman. Like, how do we get these computers direct to us? So we went to auctions at one point, and then we said, hey, why don't we start making a recycle website? This was about 7 years ago. And lo and behold, we used one of our stores, the backs of one of our stores as, just housing all these electronic recycling as they came in. And it grew within about a few months. We're like, this is actually catching wind. So we ended up opening our first warehouse in about 2018, 2019.
Who was buying this stuff?
We were actually recycling it and we were refurbishing it. And so we would sell it directly through our stores. So we had the break fix shop. So you'd bring in, let's say it's 2018, you're bringing like a 4th gen or 5th gen i5 laptop. And, your company just gave you 7th gen per se. People weren't really seeing the value in it to remarket it, right? They just wanted it gone in their data erased. So we'd take them in, we'd diagnose them, and we'd wipe the hard drives. Or sometimes they come with no hard drives, put in new hard drives, upgrade them, memory in them, completely refurbish it, and then put it right back on our store shelves. Yeah, and so that caught wind, and we kept growing and evolving. So we got to our Tatum facility and got our first warehouse. And that was about 2018, 2019. And that kept growing for about 2 years as we kept pushing marketing. And I've been telling people this industry's become like a glorified PI industry, right? The best marketing wins.
Really?
As long as you have the right certifications in place. So about 2020, we're like looking into like the R2. We looked at the documentation and we're just like, seems like a lot of work. Let's hold off on it. And as the company continued to grow and we continued to evolve, and we went from mom and pop shopping our stuff at our facilities to where we wanted to continue to scale, we realized scale was going to be more in the medium to large scale businesses. And those required all the certifications. And that's where we hunkered down my business partner and Beacon and said, we need to focus on getting our certification. So R2 was the first one. We did that in 2022. Took about a year process to go through that. I want to say literally a month after R2, we struck one of our bigger clients and kind of never looked back from there. And then something that really struck with me is as we developed the electronic recycling company, I started to develop a love for the whole aspect of recycling as a whole. Right? Most people look at me and they're like, you recycle? You drive a V12. That's my weekend. Yes, because there's a good balance in life. I always say, in understanding. Most people don't understand you can throw all your plastics in the recycle bin, but do they all get recycled? No. Do most people know what clean plastics are? No. So education became like more the forefront, like where I sit today when I deal with like the Phoenix Suns and Footprint. I'm talking about how we can push education to the masses. And that's where I see myself today in our company. And it's like our COO and our CLOs, they're out there generating the revenue for allowing me to push the message.
That's right.
Yeah, I really love what I do today. It's so fun.
And your timing, I mean, a lot of times life is all about timing. Your timing is just incredible, right? With the e-waste and recycling. You're serving a great thing for people in the planet. So it's great. So let's go into maybe you a little bit more personally now, because you're running this successful growing business. So before you started this business professionally, what were you doing? And is there any part of that that's carried forward? And if so, what would you say that was?
So being in the graphics and IT world for years was great. Right? I grew up in computers since the mid 90s. Right?
Yeah.
Right from my first computer. But I think what's really propelled me in business in general was I played golf. And I played golf professionally for a while. Between that step from about 2015 to about 2018, there was a gap where I decided my father got sick with stage 4 cancer out of nowhere in 2015. And the doctor told us he's got less than a year to live. He went in for gallbladder removal. Came out that same day saying, hey, we found cancer all down the wall. And growing up in my high school years, played golf, and I was 3-bar letterman. And I never really thought about pursuing golf as a career, but I was always like, I'm pretty darn good. So I focused on that, as well as I still had the break fix shops. But then a buddy of mine that played for the Houston Rockets said, hey, if you really want to pursue this golf career, why don't you go to this facility? It's called Exos down the street. I said, cool, I'll do it. Signed up. It wasn't cheap. But I said, I'm doing this because I saw my father lying on pretty much a deathbed for almost 11 months. And if I don't give every opportunity a shot, then I'll never know.
Yeah.
So when I started training for golf, is really when I started training my mind for business. Right? When I was in the gym, when I was on the course, people always say golf is one of the toughest part of golf is the mental aspect of it, right? And creating that kind of strong mental capacity, I've been able to bring that over into business, especially in the recycling industry, right? We have a lot of moving parts. We're talking about sustainability, we're talking about security, we're talking about compliancy. And a lot of
very
things
complicated.
A lot of stuff you guys do with it day to day, right?
Just throw the shit through the shredder and call it a day.
No, at the end of the day, we need a full chain of custody, right? We have SOWs, SLAs, MSAs all across the board to make sure that, data is the most important thing. You guys at One Step would definitely know that.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the most critical thing.
That is the most critical.
You're done. If something happens, you're done. That's the conversation that we have once a week. Our capital forms, we call them our corrective action forms. Like it's the strictest thing you have to put in place, right? But taking that career in golf and incorporating that in my business life was super, super important. And just continuing, right? Like, I went from having golf as good foundation of just how I have a strong mental mindset. And as I continue in business is who do I bring on going forward, right? I've had mentors, I've had training of the body and mind. And now I need to go to the next level. Who can I go to the next level now in business? I'm not in golf anymore, so in business. And that's some of the stuff you and I have talked about before, right? Like,
For sure.
if it's with like Patrick David or Dan Hotel, you know, you look at people that you can say, hey, I resonate with them.
Mm-hmm.
I believe what they see because I see it too. So what can they do to help me and what can I do to help them?
For sure.
One thing we forget to do a lot today is in any business is ask how we can help you. We're always looking how we can help ourselves. You can take yourself out of the equation and bring the customer in there. You got to win.
For sure. Yeah. It's definitely we share they say it's what we can do for our clients and for our staff. And we're all, you know, one of our core values is always be learning. So we really promote like get more educated, get more training. And sometimes people leave us, right? And they take what they've learned and we're like, yay, bravo. You know, like we're so glad that you're able to do that. So look, building a business is super easy, right? There's no pits in it, right? It's like, come on in, right? No. So look, building a small business and getting some exponential growth like you're doing, could you share any of the, you know, barriers? Did you run into anything? Because like I'm a firm believer in the School of Hard Knocks. I mean, I've graduated cum laude from that. It's a very expensive college, but man, once you learn a lesson, it's done.
Pound the wall like you're pounding your fist. So yeah, absolutely. Scalability was one. It was 2022 and we were moving from one warehouse to our current warehouse, right? We went almost 4x and we had a great client we picked up from. They defaulted on a massive loan. So it was a big payday for Techbros, but we didn't scale properly. And so we went and we opened up this massive warehouse. We started bringing on more more debt, more costs. It took about 6 months where we were burning through our cash pretty heavily. And my business partner was saying, hey, I feel like this is a waste of my time. Like we should just let's start Ubering to make some money. We were paying ourselves for about 3-4 months. And you know, back was against the wall. And I told him, I'm like, go stand up on the wall. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, go stand like that, put your back against that wall. He said, okay. So I went and I punched the side of the wall. Right? He said, you flinch. And I go, why'd you flinch? He said, well, I don't want pain. I'm like, why'd you flinch? Like, why'd you flinch? What do you mean? Like, next time something gets thrown at you like that, grab it. And that you're getting punched right now, right? We're getting punched in business. This is part of business. Mind you, my business partner is 9 years older than me. I was okay. I've been punched in business multiple times in my life, but this one was a big punch, and I knew I'll get out of it, right? Because I believe I'm going to put the work in. I know I have a proof of concept. I'm just going to go through a really tough time of business. No business just starts with this.
Exactly.
Right? And so we were just scaling. Did I make a mistake in scale? Absolutely. But did we hunker down and did we go out there and try to find new business, right? Or did we wait for business to come to us? Did we look for revenue to come to us or did we go get revenue? I went and I got revenue. I'll never forget. The guy I got revenue from is a guy I'm acquiring today. Right? And it was because he said, I literally later today, I am sitting with him to finish up the M&A. And it's just because he's done with being in the industry, he's gotten older, and he's actually seen me grow and mature. He's like, you went from being a squirrel to a whole new man, right? When you're in a new industry, there's a lot being thrown at you, and you're learning. And it's just how can you consume it, how can you digest it, and how can you put it right out. And I think that's maturing in a new industry for us.
So you ended up mentoring, which we're going to go into next, your partner, right? Because he's 9 years younger. So maybe he didn't have this experience where you have to sometimes bleed cash or you make a mistake. Sometimes you don't make a mistake. You know you're going to do it. You have more resources than you need right now, but you know you're going to close a big deal or whatever it is, right? So you take on more expense, right? But you're bleeding.
You're bleeding. And the biggest thing, a mistake is, well, you know, he learned, sorry to cut you off.
No, not at all.
The fact that I understood these times will come. My nest egg was there. My cash was there to keep the business sustained. He did not. So when he had the big payday the year prior, he was buying those luxurious things. He was wearing...
That's a whole other...
Yeah, that's the whole, you know...
Did he not have a mentor?
Me.
No, but when he got his windfall?
That was me.
Oh, okay. Because
I wanted him to go through it.
Okay. Oh, you did?
I did want him to go through it.
Got it.
Because I can say something, and you can tell someone something, and you're a father of 2 sons, right? So you can tell I have a 19-month-old at home. I could tell him 100 times, no, he's not going to do it. It's the same.
Don't touch the stove
until they go through it themselves and experience. Yes. Do we want them to fail completely? No. But we need them to feel what failure feels like.
I agree, yeah.
And so that's why I was like, I waited for that moment to punch the wall and the moment for me to get up and say, okay, let's go make money. This is how you do it. You don't curl up and sit in the corner. You get up and you go find it. Go get it.
Perfect. Yeah. I wasn't thinking with that. You know, when I have conversations with my sons, a lot of times they'll come to me with like, I'll make this up. Why don't we have a keg in the kitchen? Well, I mean, people will just drink one beer or something like that. Yeah, no, here's why, right? But they haven't gone through it. They haven't gone through their bad decisions, and there's nothing better. So being a mentor to your younger partner, tell me about how mentorship has been a role in your success as both a human being, but also as a business professional.
It's critical. My biggest mentor was my dad, right? His humbleness, his procession after he passed away taught me a lot of stuff, right? And so when I saw how he treated people, and my dad wasn't very wealthy, right? But he left wealth with people in the heart. And so when he passed, the procession was long. It's because he was such a good human being. And as you develop, you need to have, I believe that starts first, right? And that's what I bring into like our company culture and values with them boys. I always call them our coworkers, right? We're all friends. We all believe the same. No one's better than this person. And then it starts how you develop. And who can you develop? And I like to develop a core group. So I have my core group, and then I like to mentor them. And my own mentors over the years, like from my father to, I'll never forget Pete, who was different than what I did. He was in the dental industry. But he taught me just business in general and how to develop business and how to be kind of numb to the people around your business, to keep your focus. And as I always say, I outgrew Pete years ago. I had to go find new mentors. One that really struck me was Patrick at David, right? I look up highly to him. I deal with their team down at Belly Payment quite a bit. We'll be on a mastermind today. And it's just, these people have gone through the same trials in life. If Pat went through the trials of being a kid in Iran and going through war, getting here, living in California, working at a Bally's, to turn what you've turned into today. A new one to me is that I have been trying to pick his brain a lot the last 2 weeks is Dan Martell. Like, I see your vision. I believe in what you say. I don't think a lot of people are seeing it properly today. And so can you take that kind of mentorship and can you grow from it? I think something we lack today in society is looking up to the right people. There's fictional and non-fictional mentorship, almost you could say. But mentorship is played a key critical role to us today.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that you're in a mastermind group as well. So we are we're part of an accountability group. So it's, about 6 CEOs that hold each other accountable to each other, because who's going to hold you accountable?
Exactly. Exactly.
maybe your wife, but that's about it, right? So, but besides that, does that play a role with in your mastermind group as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's good at doing that, and he also puts account execs that you reach out to that hold you accountable on a weekly, on a follow-up as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love to hear about a little bit about your little group they have. I think that's a great idea that you guys have going. Is like you said, who's going to hold me accountable? Especially in the day-to-day, I got to hold myself accountable. My to-do list sitting in my backpack is what holds me accountable. But also, if you can start to learn to hold yourself accountable, you know, especially the guys and ladies out there looking to start a business or that are in a business today, like holding yourself accountable, creating, I always take one thing Elon Musk, I learned about Elon Musk was he will come in and find one problem a day and solve one problem a day. Right? And I've taken that approach with my board and we always try to figure out because you'll be surprised. I'll sit down and it was last week and I'm talking to my CTO, CEO, and CLO sitting there and they're having a problem with our ERP software and our B2B wholesale. They're trying to move it into a wholesale. And they're kind of like, hey guys, what's going on? Like sitting at what's the issues? Well, the B2B, the wholesale end on Maycore is not, we don't see the items in there. So we have to bring them in as resale. So it's mixed in with all our other stuff. I'm like, have you guys tried reaching out to them? CLO jumps in, it's like Maycore, it's just got a bug or something like that. I'm like, let's fix this today. Now looking at them nuts. I'm like, okay, email Maycore. I know the owner. I know this guy. I need this. This is what's happening. I need to be on the teams right now. Okay, we're on top of this. Where we're going to put all the wholesale stuff, tap that organization. So I broke the teams into. I took my CTO and I had him grab one of his guys in his tech team, go work on this, and I broke my wholesale guy and my CLO together and said, go figure out where you guys want to put all your wholesale items in the warehouse, right, and keep it organized. By an hour and a half into it, teams meeting with Carl out of London, figured out what they were doing wrong. Not a bug. My team's the bug. They don't want to admit it, right? And that's the common issue. Fix that problem. Meanwhile, they had one day to figure this out. We're going to have done it up on the day, right? Within 3 hours, everything was done and complete. They were messing with this problem and not finding a solution for 3 months.
Yeah, they weren't confronting it.
And so that's super critical. Just finding one little issue, one problem solving per day. So now what we do is we have a whiteboard out there. 4 of us will put out something we want to fix today, or we want to work on today, go from there. And hold each other accountable, kind of like what you have with your CEO, and hold each other accountable. And people don't like being held accountable, man. I love being held accountable.
Yeah, and that's your sports. That's your,
That's what, it goes back.
You're competitive, you're disciplined, and it's a rarefied group that is sort of self-motivated, self-accountable, and because nobody's going to make you get up at 4 a.m. to go do that workout or something like that, right?
No, so that's going to be held by yourself. And there's a good book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 that I've been reading, which whoever's listening wants to read that. Kind of like what you're saying, you might not be programmed that way, but you can reprogram your
for sure
that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not easy, but nothing good in life typically is. And for us, so this our accountability group is MSP centric, so it's a very specific group of business owners that have like growth problems. And one of the recommendations I got from one of my mentors is, we're a privately held corporation, so we don't have a board of directors. So I said put a board of advisors together and go get like some top-notch talent, and you pay them for their time to sit with you once a quarter. And so we have an incredible board of advisors that like it's so funny. Like we'll have a problem that we've just been like grinding on for months, and we just bring it up and go, did you guys think of blah, 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 blah? And you just have egg on your face, but you don't. You're just so glad. It just feels good to have somebody that's been doing this for 30 years, that's done it dozens of times. And most of the stuff is not, we're not going to come up with something that's never been handled before, right? It's come up before and it has to be. Neither one of us. So if you get the right people on your team.
That's so critical.
Absolutely.
Because they're also coming with a clear mindset.
Yeah.
You got, look, when you're running this whole company, you have a lot of things going through here. And if you got to figure out, hey, you got a problem, sometimes you need that theory. Come in and say, hey, this is how we do this. Sometimes you might be like, why? Just try it.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes they don't take action. Like, it's like yesterday was a problem that was going on for a month. And I'm like, when was the last time, you spoke to them? And they're like, well, I sent an email today. I'm like, so as we're talking, I sent an email to them and I got a response within 10 minutes. And, I'm not saying I'm great because I'm not. I'm just saying that it was like my intention was to get that person to respond to me, and they did. And so then we solved the problem in 10 minutes.
Yeah. To the credit, I always say, I see that problem happen a lot with me too, but I always say, is it because I sent the email?
Yeah.
My email. And so that that happens with my sales team a lot. And I feel bad. I know exactly what you're saying. Then I'm always about follow-up, call, follow-up.
Yeah, so if it's only an email for me, but it's 2 calls for you, then make the 2 calls, whatever it takes. But, a lot of times my boys will, when they were younger, they're like, what do you do, Dad? What do you do at the business, and because they don't see me like I'm not lifting pallets or I'm not, installing technology or whatever it is. I said, my primary job for the company is to be 3 years in front of it.
Visionary.
Yeah. And I have to decide where this ship needs to be in 3 years. And a company like ours turns like a big freighter. It takes years to get realigned, right? And so, and that's what I do, and I'm good at it, so, and that's allowed us to be ahead of 90% of the MSPs out there. So I don't know if this is considered a new industry for you or not, or in general, but how do you do that? What are you doing with, to stay ahead and just...
That's funny you say it. So I think one of these days we should have a topic of just how you say, like, in the MSP area, because there's so much competition.
Oh my God.
But, yeah, for us, we live in an era of recyclers where it's kind of broken, to be honest with you. It's very archaic. You have some of your big dogs, which a lot of people know, the Ingram Micros.
Oh, they do it?
Yeah, they do it. But the systems are still sitting on like a Dynamics or in-house systems that are SQL based. And then there's 2 software platforms that almost 95% of recyclers use. And we've been sitting here and we've messed with the 2 software bases. We look at it and we're like, you don't have flow here. This doesn't flow.
So even though they're the 2 most popular, you see gaps in it.
You see gaps in it because don't forget, how many recyclers are there? In the Phoenix Valley, there's probably us and about 5 of decent size. So if you do the scalability for software development, it's not really there to make money in it. So that's why it's so limited. So yeah, we go to an ITAD summit once or twice a year, one here, one in here. And the 2 same developers are there. They're updating their platforms. But, if you look at how we're trying to be efficient today, right? We have field service managers. People don't realize everything that goes into our systems from, scheduling, marketing, CRM, pickups, intake, tracking, asset tagging, wiping, dispositioning, listing, right? All this is going through, and we have almost 100 tabs of traceability.
And is that part of regulation?
That's all part of being regulated. And it also creates better systems to keep track of everything. For me as a CEO, it's like, the system doesn't tell me I need a dashboard. I need to wake up in the morning and know what we have on the floor, what's coming in, where our revenue's at, what our KPIs look like, where do we see red flags in our SOPs with our employees, right? I need all of that. And so we're reinventing the wheel. I brought on so many consultants. I have 2 consultants. The 2 that are based are for certifications, right? One, she comes in, she overviews all our documentation. One implements our documentation for all our certifications. I have one that's used to work for Euromicro up there, headed their Eastern hemisphere of ITAD, and he managed over $400 million in assets. He started his own consulting firm for I brought these people on top of like the PPDs and them as consulting firms, but to to take a look and say, hey, what systems can we put in place? And so this past 2 weeks, I've taken my R2 documentation, which then my ISOs, which you're familiar with, ISO 27001. Then we have 45,001, 9,001, 14,001, all that we have. And then our AAA. And then all of these have documentations have referencing numbers. So when we get audited, we're referencing a number.
Yeah.
And so I have a 27,001 audit next week, right? I also have a son's 3-day partner summit event that I got to do. And then I also have a golf outing with the Suns. And then I have this Dylan Brooks thing all going on at the same week in 5 days. And my partner's like, how are you handling all this? I'm like, our audit's going to be remote. He's not coming. I'm like, how? How did you get your audit remote? I'm like, I cross-reference all my documentation. We have all the documentation.
You map it.
I mapped everything.
Yeah.
I did it all in 15 minutes in my AI. And my one consultant out of Florida, he's like, dude, can you send me that? I'm like, yeah.
You know, that was really like spot on. And if we want to take a look, like not too far in the future, let's say like maybe 3 years, what do you think guiding principles should be for business leaders nowadays? How should they be, what should they be thinking about? What should they be researching? What's, you know, what comes to top of mind for you on that?
It's a really good question. So if I'm going 3 years forward, right, and I'm just a new CEO, what I should be thinking is, where have we gone in the previous 3 years? What has changed? Because to me, the next 3 years with AI is going to change a lot. So what makes you authentic? What's going to set you apart? The things that I can say today for sure are going to create relationships, values, core principles. Those three. You cannot teach and train those emotional feelings to an AI. But you could scratch all that at the same time, because do we have people involved, right? We want to have people.
Right.
But if your industry is going to deal with any end customer, right, you're going to have to create that somehow, right? You can always have a robot. You know, you can use 11 Labs. They do a good job at taking your voice and prompting it and setting up, you know, calls and stuff like that. There's going to have to also be some regulation.
I agree.
Right? Because to me, getting up in the morning and going to work and creating relationships, developing human beings, I think one of the most important things in 3 years, right? Workplaces should become the new place to go for therapy. You know, therapy shouldn't be there. Workplace should be your therapy. Your coworker should be your therapy. But I think those three driving principles that I said.
Those are great. And, you know, I think as a society, I'm wondering, as you were saying this, I'm like, I have a saying, you know, what's old is new. So like, you know, so a lot of times things will go out of fashion, come back in, or whatever, right? And for some reason, it seems like modern societies, we tend to go too far. And then, so do you remember when like the telephone prompts came in? That was so cool. Press 1 for this. And don't, like the minute I hear that now, I just go 0.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if 0 doesn't work, guess what I do? I go find a different business to work with. So I want to talk to a human. I don't want to talk to a computer, right? Now, I'm sure AI is going to be different, but I think, I'm wondering if you think the same thing, just as a completely rando topic, is like, if we take it too far and come 5 years, we're going to be like, I don't want to talk to a chatbot. Get me Steve on the phone.
We're in a very difficult scenario, right? Like, because what do they want? Do you make it to a point where you can actually get it to the way they really want it, though? You can ask it any question and it can get you information. You technically are trying to get something answered, right?
That's it.
And that could be a fighting argument one day where we say, hey, but if you train it, what your business does and who that client is, any information that client needs to get about themselves, they can get it from that with a phone call, right? From the chatbot. There is that's that divide.
So maybe it won't happen. Maybe we'll be so happy.
I'm with you, man.
We're getting so fast.
We're getting so fast at it and developing so fast. Where today I'm like 0, 0, pound, 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 0, 0. And then all I needed to do, you know what the problem is? I had to wait till the prompt said 4.
Exactly.
You know,
because they want you to hear all of them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So, and it hangs up on you.
It does. Yeah. It'll replay 3 times or something like that. And then.
But I still agree with you too. I want to talk to him. But there is still yesterday, right? Sorry for going on. I ended up trying to figure out sliding doors for our son is valuable to open up his sliding doors. So my wife's like, hey, can you put a lock on there? I'm like, well, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. Let's make sure it just auto closes, stuff like that. So I got on one. The first thing people do is drill a sliding door near me and called Bountiful Place, called one, left a voicemail, called another one, left a voicemail, called the third one. He answered my call. Answered. The problem I saw there was I had to leave 2 voicemails. And to me, voicemail is so outdated. Right? If I can get pricing and scheduling, hey, thanks for calling so-and-so. We can't come on the phone right now, but if you'd like, we can get you scheduled in. These are our fees. These are our open time slots. Bang, 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 bang. But what happened is I got a call at 1 p.m. saying, hey, we missed your call. I called at 8:30.
Yeah, no, it's too late.
It's too late.
It's too late.
So there is areas of improvement. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, we'll have time. We'll have time for that as well. I mean, one of the things I tell people that are starting a business today is to make it AI first. So instead of building your business around a whole manual processes, definitely build them around AI because it can do a lot, right? If you don't have already 100 employees or 200 employees or something,
It makes
and then if you do like we do, which is great, we're training everybody on AI and getting everybody to use it, and then they can use their time to add more value.
Yeah, you need to be able to use it, embrace it.
Yeah.
People. Another thing is companies don't want to embrace it as much.
They won't be here.
They won't be
here. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what profession, attorneys, I think the medical industry is going to get such a boost with AI.
I just talked to my trademark patent attorney today, and I've been using him for 7 years. And he goes, hey, Sarkes, because we're working on a new trademark and we're going back to do a speech together. We're talking about AI. He's focused a lot. He's actually shifted his focus into AI law. And he's like, yeah, most attorneys won't be here. He even said judges. He's like, I'm waiting for the day judges should go away. And
What a concept, yeah.
What a concept.
No political, whatever, just apply the law.
You apply the law, and then you at least need an oversight body.
Of course.
Right? But it makes sense. But then where do we draw the line?
I think Repo Man or something like that was an old movie that was
that sounds
judge and jury, right? You steal a car and the judge and the cop are the same robot, and you're done. Your day in court is right there.
It does take a little. If you look at
hyper efficient.
Hyper efficient. It takes a lot of that out of play, right? A lot of cost.
Yeah,
saves a lot of cost.
All right, Sarkes, this has been great. I appreciate your time today, and I look forward to more conversations.
Definitely.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, these are the conversations that leaders need to be having as technology continues to reshape how all of us are doing business. Now, I want to thank Sarkes for his time today and providing his perspective and experience. Very, very valuable. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please follow One Step Beyond Cyber for more conversations with leaders who are building resilient, forward-thinking businesses. If you have a topic in mind, we'd love to hear about it. Just leave it in the comments below. Now, until next time, stay safe, be aware, and be one step ahead.